And welcome everybody to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. We have a lot of things to go over today, and we've got two guests. And starting us off is going to be our very own fire chief from the West Licking Fire Department. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. So always a good thing to talk about it. So tell us about West Licking, because I know most of Reynoldsburg is on the Franklin County side, and so sometimes the Licking County side kind of gets forgotten about. But that's your area. Correct? That Reynoldsburg side.
Yes, that is correct.
So with that, what other areas, how big is your responsibility? What's the boundary lines, I guess, of your total responsibility?
So we have about 140 square miles.
Okay.
Obviously, we go to Franklin County in Reynoldsburg, and we go north to Old 161 or Worthington Road. Okay. We go south to Fairfield County, then we go east to the eastern border of Hebron.
Okay.
The village of Hebron.
So that's a pretty expansive area. That's a lot of it. So what are the common runs that you see in Reynoldsburg? I know we always hear, when the fire trucks, usually Facebook lets us know what's going on in everyone's place when we see fire trucks, but what do you see as probably like the most common thing?
EMS runs are the most common, and they're everything from injured people to sicknesses to heart attacks, strokes, some of the more traumatic injuries as far as assaults. Occasionally, unfortunately, get shootings and those kind of things, but EMS is the number one call for assistance in our entire district. Then we have some fire runs, of course, and they can be anything from full-blown fires to carbon monoxide to service calls. If somebody has a GFI that's tripping or a sump pump that's faulty or they just smell something that's weird, a lot of service calls. Of course, we do a lot of motor vehicle accidents, and we've even gotten into with some of the construction and around here, we've gotten into a little bit of commercial extrication. Okay. So take a lot of runs with our partners in Franklin County, Truro Township as well. So.
Well, it's interesting you kind of say that, because one of the fire runs that I've noticed was actually not too far, about 3 streets over from where I live, and it was a house that somebody did some cooking in their garage, and they thought that the grill or the heating element that was that they had closed it off, and then it obviously wasn't. They went back inside the house, there was a spark, and the next thing you know it was there. So obviously I'm standing outside going to pick up the mail, and I'm looking and I'm like, well, that's not a usual sight. And then everybody was there. I think by the time that the smoke was started, before I even got 15 feet closer to it, there, I saw your element, the West Licking Fire Department there to deal with it. So now you drive by, you can't even tell, but it was one of those things. Thankfully no one was hurt. Now, we do know that there's a levy on the ballot next week, and Reynoldsburg has always been very supportive of the fire department, but can you tell us a little bit more about why it's needed, what the impact is going to be, that type of thing?
Sure. So we appreciate Reynoldsburg's support. You guys have done very well in our area. So last November, we had a $4 million additional levy put on. We listened to voters. They weren't ready for that, which we understand completely.
It's a very polite way of saying it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I live in the district as well. I live on the east end, but I get it. So every time I ask you to vote, I'm asking myself to vote as well. So we're coming back with a $3 million replacement levy. Right now, that is our oldest levy. It was last voted on in 2016. The effective rate, or what it typically draws, is 1.51. Okay. That turns out to be roughly $52 for every $100,000 of county appraised value.
And the amount of growth, not just in Reynoldsburg, because I do know that there are other parts of Licking County in your district that are growing as well. So it's not just us. But the amount of growth has been kind of dramatic. So usually Stacey Baker, Councilman Stacey Baker's on the West Licking Fire Board, and so he always brings in the number of runs. And your runs from, let's say, 10 years ago to where now, I mean, you're almost doubling the number of runs just in general with your fire department with almost the same kind of staff. Yeah, so it's just one of those things.
That's very well said.
What are some of the safety tips that you would recommend? I mean, obviously, don't start fires is a good one, but do you have anything other than that?
Well, we have the normal ones, which first and foremost is batteries in your smoke detectors. So important. And the more, it seems like as time goes on, that message has been received, and there are a lot of people. We'll pull up and we have active fire that our men and women are doing their job, and you can hear that smoke detector in the background. And that no doubt saves lots of lives. Another one would be carbon monoxide detectors. Those are very valuable and save many lives. And then we look at things like everything from bicycle safety with helmets. I mean, it's nice to go pull up on a scene and somebody's had a helmet on and they're maybe scratched up and beat up and they're upset, but they're going to be okay. They're going to make it. We look at any kind of trip hazards for our elderly or anyone that maybe has vision issues can be done. Know your way out is we do with our safety education. It's very important for our young kids, and basically any kind of anything around the house you see that doesn't look right. Outlets that don't have covers on, wires that are sticking up, things like that. So,
all right, you kind of answered my next question. But so I know there's an event tonight for more information about this fire levy, and this is also kind of a great way to show off what I think is one of the nicer firehouses out there, which is right off Taylor Road. So can you tell us what's going on, and if somebody wants to come tonight, what should they expect?
Yeah, so it's just a Q&A, and we'll have lots of literature out explaining the tax levy, what it does, where every penny goes, where it just goes to basically satisfy the needs that we have currently. Our books are always open, and they'll be there. So anything you want to ask, anything you want to see about our services, what makes up our district, the demographics, it's all going to be there. It's very informal. There'll be no presentation, just someone will meet you at the door, and we'll answer your questions or put you with the right person.
So I had the opportunity for the first time in decent weather about 2 weeks ago. I got to take a walk on the trail that's actually all by there. And so we kept going and walking and walking and walking. And so for those of you that don't know, that trail actually starts at Taylor Road and it ends right when you get to the tennis courts at Wagner Road Junior High. So it is a relatively long trail. So I know we're going to do some cool things with it. We've talked internally about, making sure that, Parks and Rec gets out there and cleans up some of those areas. Also some opportunities to plant some additional trees and things like that just to kind of beautify it. But it's just I think it's a nice trail and it's a nice addition and just providing that connectivity.
Yeah, I agree. They're nice.
Any questions for...
I did get one question. Wants to know if you guys offer any CPR classes.
That's a good question.
We do. We offer 2 different types of CPR. We can do the old school where everything's done in person, or if you're a person that needs a cart and yours is expired for whatever reason, we do a hybrid where you can do a lot of it online and you can come in and do the hands-on real quick, get you in and out. So,
well, we always did that. It was actually interesting. On Monday, we recognized some members of the YMCA.
Mm-hmm.
There was a young man that had a health event, and they took care of it. They followed their training. They did everything that they were supposed to do. They actually did the CPR compressions, saved the kid's life, and in time for Turra Township to get there. So it was a really cool experience. So I think those CPR lessons are always good, especially when you in different levels of whether it's infant CPR and all of that. I used to coach, and that was a mandatory requirement, so I've done many of those times. So, well, I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you tonight. I know we'll be here, and again, make sure you get your information about the levy for those of you on the Licking County side, because I know where I'm voting, and I'm voting yes. So, and I can say that you can't yet. So, all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming in. I appreciate it, Chief. Thank you. All right, and with that, now we're going to turn into our next guest, Stephen White. Come on in. How are you?
Doing well, Mayor. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, so I'm not going to get to the Star Wars stuff yet, but we're going to talk about that eventually. So I appreciate you coming on. This is a big week for COSI. I mean, every week is a big week, but this is a big week because you tell us about it. What's going on?
So, well, first off, thank you, and thank you to not just you, but your team and the entire city leadership for being a part of what's called the COSI Science Festival. Yep. This is one of the biggest things COSI does. Yep. We're going to be impacting literally thousands of people. We're giving them STEM engagement, science, technology, engineering, and math, really where they live, where they learn, and where they lounge. We're bringing science to the people. And we do that through the Science Festival. We do it in 2 ways. One is the Science Festival is 4 days, starts today. So get out there and check it out, cosi.org.
It's kind of convenient that I had him on today.
Right, yeah, a little bit. But it starts today, and it's spread out across 20 plus cities, including right here in Reynoldsburg, where we are doing various science activities, science events, everything from the science of fire to the science of science block parties to shooting off rockets, which I hope we might be able to do here in a moment if you allow me.
I'm always about that.
Got lots of rockets here. And then that culminates to this Saturday. Where we encourage families and folks of all shapes and backgrounds to show up at COSI. We're going to shut down all the streets, and there's going to be these 10 by 10 booths as far as the eye can see. Now, you're not buying anything,
nope.
But you're doing hands-on science, right? So, everything from robot arms that you'll be able to control to learning all about technology and science. And so that's what we call the Big Science Celebration. It happens around the streets of COSI, and we're going to see thousands of families there. It's a lot of fun. It's incredible. Unlike anything, if you've never been, it's unlike anything you've ever seen, but it's going to be very, very exciting.
I've been lucky enough to be there every year since we've had it in the post-COVID era. It's phenomenal, and the cool thing about it, like you said, it's not vendors selling something. It's all of this, and the cool thing is to see all of the kids that are there at various ages. And I know for me, I appreciate that the Reynoldsburg robotics team is there on a regular basis. And
Absolutely.
I enjoy being able to nudge them in the directions of, say, Intel, for instance, and say, hey, why don't you talk to Intel about all of these different types of things? But it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Now, the question I have for you is, everybody else, especially in this day and age, why is science important? Why should everybody care about this?
Well, science is critically important. STEM, if you look at, you mentioned one particular company there in with respect to Intel, these are the jobs. These are the jobs that are not only available now, today, across our community, not just here in Reynoldsburg, but across Central Ohio, across the great state of Ohio. These are the jobs that are going to be here for the foreseeable future. And frankly, when you have technology literally in the palm of your hands, everything from AI to you name it, right? You're going to have, we have an emphasis. There's a tech tsunami that's upon us right now. And so we need to ensure that the next generation and regular folks out there have the opportunity to get exposed to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, exposed to science, but then also understand the importance of science. I'll share with you a couple of quick statistics. In the United States, we have roughly about 3.9 million that are coming out of high school, graduating from high school. Now, if you follow that number down what we call the leaky pipeline, by the time they get to, say, career technical education, you see roughly about, of the 3.9, you see roughly about 500,000 going into career technical education, these are the jobs that we need right here and now. Think, electrician, think welding, for example. But let's take it further. When you go into the four-year universities, and I'm an Ohio State graduate, double Buckeye, I believe Scarlet and Gray, I love Ohio State. But you see, of the 3.9, you see roughly about 1.8 to 1.9 million in the nation, in the U.S., going into four-year universities. But here's the staggering statistic. Of the 3.9, 180,000 of the original 3.9 are actually going into STEM declared career pathways in the United States. Think about that number. So the question becomes is what happens along that pipeline of individuals that we're having 3.9, but we're only ending up with 180,000. We submit to you that you have to start early. You want to start early, grade school, middle school. Let folks know, change dispositions and say, yes, I can do that as a career pathway. Science, technology is really critically important. And, I can be that doctor. I can be that engineer. I can be that technician. Because, again, these are the jobs of the future and jobs of our team. That's what science is all about. That's what the Science Festival is all about, is to be able to help elevate that science literacy across our community.
Well, it's good. You mentioned that about the numbers. So my oldest has graduated from the Ohio State University as well with a degree in astrophysics.
Go Bucks.
So
Wow, man. Just bump on that, man.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. He would show me some of the questions, and I'm like, yeah, I got nothing. about that. And my youngest is actually going to be a science teacher. He's looking to teach high school chemistry and physics.
Amazing.
So,
congratulations.
And that's from people that literally, I'm a history guy, and so it's a different thing, but we expose them to all of the different types of things and taken them to COSI and worked with it, so I can see where that is needed, especially now when sometimes science is not always looked upon favorably in the general public for any number of reasons. So now this is I enjoy this because let's talk a little bit about COSI. What are some of your favorite parts about just COSI? Not necessarily the big weekend and the events you're going, but COSI in general. What's your favorite part?
Well, I would say three things I really love. Number one is the exhibitions are by far amazing. We call it the mothership, the physical building. Come check it out. Come down and see it. We've got some really amazing exhibits right now. Sharks. I'm going to share with you a little bit one that's coming here very, very soon. I'm going to preview it here in a moment. You already kind of highlighted it. But we'll talk about that in a moment. So number one, you're going to have an amazing experience when you come into the physical building. But we know that COSI is not just about the building. It's also about what we can do out in the community as well. And it's what we can do to help connect with people, again, where they live, learn, and lounge. And that's what I love about COSI, is that it doesn't necessarily have to be the physical building. I'll give you two examples. One is our kits that we give out for free. They're called Learning Lunchboxes. These are kits that we give out as 10 hours of content around a particular theme. We bring this to the people. So this is not necessarily just a Reynoldsburg thing. We're delivering our science kits to all parts of the great state of Ohio, Ohio's 88 counties. Surrounding states, for that matter. We've given out almost 450,000 kits across 40 states and 7 countries. And the reason for that is because science is everywhere and for everyone. And so we can engage that way. The third example I'll highlight that I love about COSI is that, I highlighted this sort of tool that we carry around with us every day. we have a show. We have an animated series called Dr. B and 3. And what that does is it breaks down complicated subjects in science into 3-minute bite-sized information that can easily connect with that individual that might be watching it. And guess what? We've won Emmys for that work, 9 Emmys just for our television show and our animated series, just on that science content. And the reason I love that is because there's a recognition that science communication is also critically important as well. So you combine that on-site with the off-site community element and that online digital element, and that really helps to create a robust opportunity to engage around science.
That's cool. I was not aware of that. That's one thing. I had no idea about the Emmy Award winning thing. That's pretty cool. So we talked a little bit about what's going on this Saturday, but now there's a new exhibit that's coming up that some people might be somewhat excited about. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so this is an amazing exhibit. You got to come check it out. If there's one thing you do this summer, this spring, come check out our Unofficial Galaxies exhibit. This is around all different things. If you're a fan of Star Wars in any kind of shape or form, you're going to see some of these amazing resources that'll be there. I got to tell you, these exhibitions, I'm not going to ruin it for you. You got to go check it out. You're going to be blown away. And kudos to the COSI team for helping to create some of these amazing experiences that the public's going to be able to enjoy. You're gonna want to see it firsthand. It's something that you won't want to miss. It's only here for a limited run for a few months, so make sure you come check it out and come check it out early.
So that opens. That's next week, correct?
Yes, that's right.
So and this weekend, if you happen to be there at the big Science Fest and you have the opportunity to walk around, it's not open this weekend yet.
It's not open yet, but you'll see it. You'll see some of the teasers around to be able to check it out.
That's fine. That just means that I'm going to make sure that I get out there another time.
Absolutely.
No, it's when you look at what you've had in just the last couple of so obviously they've had the Titanic exhibit.
Yes.
At one point you had Marvel there, and then you mentioned sharks, and then you've had some Egyptian, and there's been everything and anything in there that has been cool to see. In addition to just I don't want to say the regular stuff, but the normal type of things that are there on a regular basis.
Yes.
And it's a great time. I know as my kids were younger, and I think that this is why they have kind of led into the sciences. Is we went there on a regular basis so they could be exposed to all of those things.
Yes.
And probably because I had them watch a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek their entire lives. But it definitely works out.
Yeah.
So.
And Mayor, I have to just first off, congratulations on again the amazing the work that your children are doing. You highlighted something very critical, which is that a lot of times the most difficult aspects about getting individuals comfortable about science is that changing the disposition. Just seeing that, wow, if they can do it, then I can do it too. And enabling them to be able to see themselves in those roles. Sometimes that's the most difficult aspect. Yeah. And so just applaud you for that work. And again, applaud your partnership in helping us to be able to deliver that to the community, not just through the Science Festival, but through some of our other programming.
No, especially I remember last year when we had the eclipse.
Oh, yes.
And all of the work that was done with that. I mean, there were so many cool things that are being done, and I'm incredibly appreciative of everything that COSI is able to bring to the table for and people don't realize, I mean, we talk about Columbus, and everybody has this perception of what Columbus is, but we have quite possibly the best zoo in the entire nation, and we already know, and we've got empirical evidence about the best science facility that you have here and it's just amazing that it's right here in Columbus, and I think sometimes a lot of us we take it for granted.
Yeah, well, just to make that point, put an exclamation point, underline, cross T's, dot I's. We have been named 5 times the #1 best science center in the United States by USA Today. Yep. And just a couple of years ago, we were invited to the White House to receive the National Medal from the White House for the amazing work that we've done to help serve the community.
Yeah. It is phenomenal. And if you can't get a chance to go this weekend, please do so. I think everybody has their favorite parts of it. I know one of my things is, when we actually do the kickoff and we see the combination of what, and I know what's the phraseology, the stuff that shoots up in the air. I know.
So it's elephant toothpaste.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's and it's just it's something fun to see because everybody goes up and the kids are just laughing and enjoying it. Here we go.
All right, so I got to do this because we cosify stuff around these parts. So this is an example of what we're going to be doing across the community. So Mayor, I want to see if you can help me out. This is what we call our rocket launch activity. Now, what you're looking at here is something pretty straightforward, pretty simple. If you could help me.
Oh, absolutely.
I want you to pour just a little bit of water into 2 of these. Just fill them halfway if you could. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time, so we're going to have to chat a little bit while this takes place. But I'm going to explain to you what's going to happen here in a moment. Okay. Make sure, do we have high ceilings? Yes, we do.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Is it okay if it's a little damage to ceilings? No, that's all right.
We're good.
All right. Good. So what I want you to do is drop that in there, and then we're gonna put this lid on and make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, make sure it clicks. Okay, so. Okay. And we're gonna leave that there. We're gonna turn it upside down, and we're gonna wait. Okay, now stay a little bit further back. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you what's happening here. So this is what we call a rocket launch activity. We're using something very simple: water, Alka-Seltzer tablets. Okay, so these are just straight Alka-Seltzer tablets from the grocery store, and these are actually film canisters. Remember the film canisters back in the day? You see that?
Yes,
Touch them back. So we've got, that was mine that was we're waiting on yours, like bubbling up there. So we've got, so the film canister, you know, I joke with everyone, now you can take thousands of photos. Back then, you know, when we had film canisters, you had one chance. And so I think, I'm waiting for it to pop off. So that pressure is building up from those Alka-Seltzer tablets, right? And because those film canisters are airtight, it just the pressure has nowhere else to go except up, right? And so that's what happens with the rocket launch you got there. So.
Well, it looks like yours was successful. Mine looks like it's struggling a little bit, which is why my kids are the better science students.
There you go. We'll give it a little bit of time. We'll wait for a little bit moment. But again, this is what you're going to see when you're part of the Science Festival. Hands-on COSI activities like this that are happening all over the community. So I encourage the public, go to COSI.org. Check out all those different events. There's over 100. Whoa! Over 100 different events across the community, just like that you'll be able to see. And I think we may have damaged your ceiling.
It's all right. It's all good.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it. Check out COSI again at all times, and thank you very much for all your cooperation and everything.
I appreciate it, Mayor.
We'll have to go get cleanup in the aisle for everything. So.
That's funny.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know really. Whatever I have to say after this doesn't matter anymore because really you can't beat that. But there's always a couple of other things going on in Reynoldsburg. Obviously, our Reynoldsburg City Schools, they have their board meetings in a couple more weeks. But Neil Whitman is going to be there on Friday from 3 to 4 at the Graham Road Welcome Center. I also want to congratulate the Reynoldsburg esports team on their second place finish at the state championships this weekend. Believe it or not, yes, second place championship. Let's take a second to think about that. So the last 3 years, they've won the state championship once and have been runner-up twice. So they have been there, and that is an excellent form of dominance, and hopefully we'll get them here to City Council in the not-too-distant future to recognize them for that. Let's see here. Where else have we got? We have the Reynoldsburg Youth Football Camp, June 7th from 12 to 2 at the Livingston Stadium for all those in kindergarten through 8th grade. Last Monday at Council, there were a lot of cool things going on, but one was code enforcement dealing with pollinator gardens. So starting tomorrow, we are going to be getting No Mow May. No Mow May means that if you do not cut your grass, you're not going to be hit with code enforcement issues because we're trying to encourage pollination. Again, part of that science aspect of things. If you want to continue to have your pollinator garden beyond that particular point in time, you do have to get some permits from the city just to register it, so that way we know not to come to your house and give you a code infraction. But it's 6 inches in the right-of-way as well as 3 feet from the property line. And go ahead and pass that stuff over here. We'll get some cleanup all the way across. So we've got that. As we talked about, the Reynoldsburg the West Licking Fire Department is out there, and they're going to have that open house tonight, and they have their levy issue on, again, it's about $51.92 per $100,000. Just to give you an idea, they went from in 2015, they went to 5,000 runs, and they're expecting to hit about 9,800 runs this year. So that is a huge amount.
What are the hours for that open house?
That is from 6 o'clock to 8 p.m. Tonight.
Thank you.
We also have the next blood drive is right here at the Reynoldsburg Police Department on May 21st from 10 to 4, so there's lots of options for there. And we do have big breaking news for Wagner Road. As you know, we've been talking about the last couple of weeks that the progress is being made at the culverts, and it looks like tomorrow is going to be the big day where both culverts are going to be completed, which means you're going to be returning to a northbound only traffic pattern starting tomorrow. Probably will not be at 7 o'clock in the morning. It'll probably be a little bit later than that. But by the end of the day tomorrow, northbound traffic on Main Street all the way until you get to around Amelia Drive. And then at that point in time, it will turn back to north and south. So if you're on Broad Street, you can go into Amelia or the new MI Homes development, and you'll be able to get in and out of access from there. What you're going to see as the next step is going to be what they call stormwater. So all of the things that are going to be put on either side of the road to kind of control the stormwater and make sure that it flows in the right way. And following that, you're going to start to see boxing out for the curbs that are going to be installed. So that's going to be happening. So all of the underground stuff right now is pretty much taken care of. Now you're going to start seeing a lot of that progress on the upside of everything. So that's going to be huge. We'll get a lot of information out there the rest of the day today. But that's what's going on with the Wagner Road area. Taylor Road is moving. They had a little hiccup in a part right by the Kroger, but now they're moving past that. So over the next couple of weeks, they'll be moving off further down Taylor Road. We also have the Bryce Road Improvement Grant Open House June 2nd at the Reynoldsburg Library, and that's going to begin at 6 p.m. We'll have some pictures to show about what's there, the intersection realignment and things like that. There'll also be some surveys coming out in the not-too-distant future as well. Council did pass our street ordinance, so you're going to see some the first part of our street work being done, which are some alleyways as well. And all of those fun things. Any questions about anything so far?
Nope.
All right. Community cleanup roundup. First of all, when we say we do a lot of good things, we do things well. And it got hot out there because there was a nice little fire in one of the trucks. So we were trying to get all the shredding done. Apparently there were some batteries in it, and so there was a fire. So I do appreciate everybody's patience as they were coming up and we had to shut things down. Appreciate everybody's patience and to come back and do it. Other than that little hiccup, it was a great experience for everybody. But one thing that a lot of people probably didn't see is we actually had a litter cleanup crew on the other side by Livingston by the firehouse. And I wanted to recognize a couple of different groups. We had Urban Air that came out and helped litter cleanup. We also had the Cub Scouts group, and then we had just some random volunteers that wanted to come out and help do some cleanup in that area. That Bryce Road corridor can always use a little bit of help, and they went out there, and that was a cool thing to see everybody kind of coming into it. We'll have the numbers of how many pounds of shredding, the medicine disposal flags. I know our bag truck was completely full. All of those details we'll get in as soon as the information gets back to us, but it was a great, successful event. We know that our hazardous materials and our bulk pickup were full pretty quick. It was a great thing all the way around. It's a fun event for the city, and it helps bring a lot of things together, and it really gets rid of a lot of people's junk that they no longer want anymore, which is a good thing. Next week is the primary election, so just one issue other than the levy for West Licking Fire is the Ohio Public Works Commission grant process. Again, this is not something that raises taxes. This allows municipalities throughout the state of Ohio to apply for competitive grants to do road projects. Wagner Road, Main Street, and now Summit Road are all the projects that we have bid on in the past, so I encourage you to take a look out at that. I also want to thank everybody who came out to the town hall last week. It was a lot of fun. We had a big crowd. There were a lot of people that I didn't know. There were some really good questions about the budget and about development and how this all process starts. I found it useful. I think a lot of the residents that showed up did. So I think we'll do this again. We'll probably do this every couple of months. So maybe sometime around September-ish is we'll do the next one. But it was just great to come in and hear some of the questions that are out there because not everybody lives this government life like we do here at City Hall. And so to try and explain some of the things about why things happen the way they do, there are reasons for it. Sometimes they're not very good reasons, I'll be honest with you, but there are reasons that we're there for it. Chamber of Commerce events are coming up. There's two big ones. I am not a motorcycle rider because I don't have that kind of coordination. But for those that do ride motorcycles, there's going to be a bike blessing on May 18th at the Reynoldsburg Community Church, as well as already planning ahead for the Thursday, October 16th gala for the Chamber of Commerce. It's business casual, but it's going to be at the Wigwams Event Center from 5:30 to 9, but check that out, and there's some great opportunities there. Some community events. I do want to make sure that everybody understands that the George Steebout Award, Legacy Award nominations for Juneteenth are available now. So if you have somebody that you would like to nominate for that, please do so. We're always accepting litter cleanup, awards for people who are looking to do that. I believe the Lions Club was out 2 weeks ago on Taylor Road. I know the Reynoldsburg area Democrats are coming out in the next couple of weeks as well. But if you or your organization would like to adopt a road or a section of a road, please reach out to us at the city. We provide all the fun stuff. Not as fun as what you saw here with COSI, but we all provide the fun stuff. Any questions so far?
Nope.
All right, so yesterday I had the opportunity to attend what is known as the Ohio Mayor Alliance Lunch with a Lawmaker. So it's an opportunity for the 30 largest cities to come together. I know I've spoken about it before, but we had the opportunity to listen to, as he called himself, Coach Tressel. And if you've ever seen a Coach Tressel press conference after an Ohio State football game, it was virtually the same thing, except instead of talking about football, we talked about politics a little bit. But he's definitely getting a crash course in all things state government. So it was interesting to hear from him on what the plans are for the state moving forward. We also had the opportunity to talk to Representative Brian Stewart out of Pickaway County. He is the chair of the Finance Committee in the House. And this was a fun conversation because we talked about the Browns Stadium and we talked about school funding. Yes, they let me in a room with the state representative talking about school funding. Wow, that won't happen again. So we talked about a couple of things, and here are the highlights. So we talked about the Brown Stadium. Mayor Justin Bibb was there, and he and I were asking questions specifically about the Brown Stadium and the proposal and why this was a good or bad thing. And the reality was Representative Stewart made the case that we're actually in a better position than other states because other states typically pay much more into stadium funding. And he also highlighted that this is the largest private investment into a stadium fund, which again is only about $50 million from the owners of the Browns. And so therefore he considered that we should be lucky that that's all we're paying. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the idea of being lucky for that. We did talk about schools, and he made the case that it's once the money comes to the State House, it's their will to do with that as it pleases and how they fund schools. And then luckily enough, the bell rang, and he had to get out before I could ask my questions. But it's one of those things that this is the issue. If you want to advocate for fair funding for schools, if you want to advocate for not paying taxpayer dollars to go to a billionaire's stadium that actually moves it away from the Cleveland area, or if you don't want equal school funding, or if you want to have that stadium at the taxpayer's expense, these are the people that you need to talk to. They're the ones making the decision. So I encourage you to reach out to the Senate, because now the budget goes over to the Senate, and make your feelings known. I did briefly chat with our state senator, Michelle Reynolds. She was at the lawmakers' lunch. And she and I briefly talked a little bit about some of these things, and I've made my concerns known to her, not like she couldn't have guessed where I stood on school funding. But these are the people that are making the decisions. And while the Ohio Mayor's Alliance does advocate for a number of things, the reality is that we're 30 some odd mayors that are in that room making these calls. The reality is all of you in Reynoldsburg and wherever it is that you are, I'm sure there's at least one person watching that lives outside of Reynoldsburg, maybe. You need to make those phone calls because this is your state budget and this is how it's going to be done. So we need to do a better job of working with our state representatives on that one. So any questions, comments, things like that? All right, so I have good news and bad news. So I'm going to give you the bad news first. There is no 12 o'clock show next week. I apologize we had to postpone because I'm going to be at the State House, but not why you think I'm going to be there. My wife, Tori, is getting recognized. She was selected from her school district to be recognized for Teacher Appreciation Week. So she's going to be at the State House next week being honored for her contributions. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of her because she definitely deserves it. There's nobody more gracious, and she's probably more than embarrassed by this. But her getting recognized at the State House for her ability to do what she does, which is to teach math to sixth graders and do it successfully for years, is a huge thing. And so I'm appreciative to the Kennel Winchester School District for allowing her to go into this particular thing to get recognized. So that's where I'm going to be next week. And then conversely, about an hour after that ceremony is done, I'm probably going to be speaking a testimony for some other things, but it just kind of worked out that way. But the number one thing is how proud I am of her for what she's been able to accomplish and this recognition. So next week, there is no show. I did apologize to Neil Whitman, who was our guest, but he'll come back on after that. So we'll be back the week after that. And that'll be on Wednesday, May 14th. And we're going to have YMCA Director Rupal Shaw and Judy Dorn from our senior center there. So that's going to be an exciting show. Any last second questions, comments, anything like that? All right, so Wagner Road, going to be back to the northbound access only starting later today. School funding still sucks. Call your senators and things like that. But other than that, have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe, stay respectful, and as always, please put your shopping carts away and don't mix Alka-Seltzer and water because it's really explosive. So, all right, thanks everybody. We'll see you.